Rock music has become a revolutionary genre since its birth in the 1960s. With a progression and an increase of curiosity during the Industrial Revolution in England, a band called Black Sabbath formed, creating a heavier version of rock for the world, heavy metal. Their lyrics often consisted of themes of war, politics, and expressing controversial ideas of Satan and the conflict between good and evil in the afterlife. Many then started accusing these lyrics as too negative, too influential, especially on its younger listeners. For others, such as those who felt like outsiders in society, heavy metal allowed them to feel more complacent because they related and connected to the darker lyrics.
Well, I do like sort of things like Can I Play With Madness, which was from the Seventh Son of the Seventh Son, which came out about 1988. But it's not necessarily about the song with me. It's more about the artwork and the band.
The rock genre has consistently evolved. Bands such as Iron Maiden and Motorhead in the 1980s produced faster and aggressive sounds with more controversial lyrics. And in the 90s, Nirvana created a progressive movement of grunge, which was more stripped down, angst rock music with lyrical themes of despair and suicide.
I think there was a time when I was suffering really with depression when I was like 15 and I think I did go a lot towards music for that, and there was like a lot of like Chelsea Grin songs or like Woe Is Me and stuff like that that I'd like relate to and I'd listen to a lot, but then I realised it was kind of making me a bit worse off, so...
The darker lyrics, and so I always love the darker lyrics because, you know, if you're trying to get a message across, it's got a bit more punch about it. If it's something that people are a little bit more aware of, I think maybe.
Yeah.
You know, when you're talking about darker subjects, you know, we sing songs about anal sex and taking drugs, and a lot of people bring us up on that, but it's what we like to do, and we'd like to get a message across it. That's what's cool.
In the late 1980s, heavy metal band Judas Priest were accused of being liable for two teenagers' attempts of suicide. The families of the victims blamed the subliminal messages hidden throughout the album, saying things such as, "Try suicide, let's be dead." The case was taken to the court for hearing, and this created a lot of controversy, with people claiming other bands such as Queen, Led Zeppelin and AC/DC to have similar messages.
Subliminal messages. We don't try to hide the meaning of a lot of the things in the songs we sing. Glory Hole, pretty straightforward. You know exactly what's coming. Going in the back door. Could be misinterpreted. Weenie Ride.
Gangbang at the old folks' home.
That's pretty straightforward as well, man. That's not really subliminal. I guess what I'm trying to say is, you know, you can misinterpret what we're trying to achieve. Like, a lot of people think Weenie Ride's about a fairground attraction or something like that. It's not. It's not.
You know what I mean?
Sometimes people have got issues, you know, they lose it and problems in their life and stuff, and it can do crazy things.
But by
turn around and
targeting...
blame a musician or an entertainer or film something, you can't really blame.
Of course you can't, man.
You might get influenced, but
no.
still,
Films are worse.
You know what?
Films are worse, man. You know, you're watching it there. I mean, with a song, you're listening to lyrics, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. With a film, you're watching it happen.
Well, of course, yeah.
That's worse, isn't it? Obviously, and it's a lot. There's a lot more. It's a lot more graphic.
As far as censorship goes, I understand radio versions and editing lyrics for versions to be released to the public. But I think if you pay for it, like buy a physical copy for your own personal use, then it shouldn't be censored. Just because, like, I think like if you're buying their album, like a band's album, you know what you're getting into, and you know like what their tones are and stuff like that. Like you know if it's going to be dark or not, and I just think you should just get what you pay for as far as that goes.
These songs were very personal, often about a musician's struggle with their own mental health or anything negative that was surrounding them. Many lives became revolved around sex, drugs and alcohol, which ended with devastating results. The death of many rock stars, including Kurt Cobain, shocked the music industry.
I do listen to certain rock songs because some of them do like quite fit in with my mood, but I think at one time I couldn't listen to them because they like kind of reinforced a lot of anger that I was feeling. So I did have to like move to other music genres.
When you're in a dark place and you're listening to a dark song, then that can lead to a bad way of thinking. But if you're listening to it when you're not in that kind of mood, you can just take it as it is at face value.
I'm somebody that suffers with mental health problems myself, but I can't say that listening to music with like a dark undertone has ever made me want to do anything drastic.
I think it helps.
Yeah.
It's like relatable.
I think it's appropriate to music. You're not going to like do some disgusting metal and talk about butterflies and rainbows.
Well, Motley Crue made a career out of being Motley Crue, didn't they? Out of being crazy and womanising and drinking and one even had a car crash. Didn't he have a car crash and kill his mate? But as society say that kind of music amplifies bad behaviour, it also makes them more successful. So in that society, it's still not working. It's still, they're still making money out of being that way, which promotes it to go even further and further, in my opinion.
Often fans listen to a certain song in the rock and heavy metal genre because they find it very healing and therapeutic for them, and could be beneficial and help with their mental health.
If you can relate to it, it can make you feel a bit more like you're not the only person going through it. You can feel a bit more like you've got the opportunities to speak to somebody about it, because there's more likely to be someone else that's had those experiences. So I think, like, in that respect, it can be quite helpful if you've got poor mental health.
Any kind of metalhead you meet, they're usually the nicest person you ever meet. Like, if you go to Download, it is the chillest thing ever. Like, there's no fights, there's none of that anywhere. In most popular music places, kind of like Leeds or Reading, you'll always hear about fights and all these people popping pills and going mental and all this stuff. At Download, you don't get any of that.
So, are darker lyrics in the rock and metal genre really influential? It very much depends on the individual and the way they interpret and perceive the lyrics. It's always a subject that's defined by personal opinions and experiences.
I don't think younger people are any more likely to do anything stupid more than older people.
I think they think it's more influential for younger people, obviously.
If you want to listen to that sort of music, that's your choice. And if you believe in those lyrics, then you believe in those lyrics.